You're listening to the Living Mandala podcast. My name is Aura. And the Color and the Living Mandala series continues. Here we are. I'm joined by Nicole Cullum of Color Caravan, colorcaravan.com. And we're going to go all things violet and purple today. I can't wait.
Yes.
So talk to us. Let's talk about, violet, purple, and derivatives.
Right. So, as we go through these colors, it's kind of like, where did we find these things? Where do they first show up in our history? And it's either a mineral or it's an organic matter. And in the case of purple or violet, it is an organic matter. And actually is I'm talking about a niche color to find. So around 3,000 years ago, well far back there, ancient Phoenicians discovered how to make a rich purple dye that became more brilliant over time as it was exposed to the sun. And it is quite a lucky find that they discovered this. So it actually is from the mucus of a sea snail.
What?
Yeah. It's called Tyrrhenian purple, and it is made from a specific type of snail called the Bolinus bandaris sea snail. And they would, it takes about 250,000 snails to make 1 ounce of this dye.
That's why it was used for royalty.
That's right.
Obviously.
That's right, because the amount of material and harvesting was so high that it became a very exclusive dye. So you would see it as trim on members of the Roman Senate, and then eventually only the emperor was allowed to wear a full, deep purple cloak.
They're hard to come by.
The color, it was hard to come by.
Yes. Wow. Okay, that's quite the history there of purple. Of course, now it's as easy as going to Sherwin-Williams and getting whatever shade you desire.
Right.
But sure, back in the day. But then, is it purple made from like red and blue?
It is. So purple is a secondary color, and you mix, fiery red with calming blue. But even though it's a secondary color, it still is found in nature. Like, ancient civilizations would use hematite, which is typically like a iron red, but they would mix that in a certain way that would make a purple, and it was found in cave art.
Okay, there you go. All right. Well, spiritual dimensions of purple, violet, of course, it's associated with the crown chakra on the body, which is, that 6 inches or so, whatever, above your head. Violet, specifically violet, that pale lavender color, is overtly associated with that. It's not really associated, much beyond that. It's a deeply spiritual color. Think like Saint Germain is often depicted with shades of that violet color. A lot of angelic beings can be depicted. But there is a spiritual dimensions of violet episode that you can listen to of the Living Mandala podcast, all about the crown chakra. That's where I would point you to get deeper into the spiritual dimensions of purple, violet. But in terms of religious dimensions of purple and violet.
Right. So purple shows up a lot in the robes of the clergy. So in 1464, Pope Paul II said that cardinals should no longer wear the Tyrrhenian purple. It was too bright. He wanted them to wear that scarlet, that cardinal red as kind of a symbol of the blood of Christ and of the crucifixion. And bishops were regulated to kind of a less rich purple that was almost more towards the indigo blue, and that kind of lowered, that was the hierarchy, right? So cardinals in red, bishops and those lower members of the clergy got kind of demoted into lesser colors of the violet/blue color range. But in art, purple was a favorite for depicting angels.
Yes.
It is very much an angelic color. And in the auric field, lighter colors of violet are associated, you think lilacs, lavenders, they're associated with gentleness and serenity and femininity. But then you go into the deeper shades, the more grape or darker shades of purple, and it's royalty and wealth and luxury.
Right. It can indicate an advanced soul, is my understanding, that the purples and violets, it's excellent to wear when you want to refresh your nervous system. Wearing violet or purple is valuable when being of service. So if you're in service to others, doing something like that, wearing these colors. Violet and purple are considered deeply religious and mystical. And like you said, associated with royalty, I guess because of that difficulty in, acquiring it. And so in terms of, how this color is going to show up, in your body and then in turn in your house, in your life, and your design, what would you sort of point people to?
So those deeper purples, they're calming, but they're also luxurious. They're great in home offices, especially in masculine areas. So you can sometimes it's very trendy right now to just like put a deep, rich purple over everything, like walls, ceiling, trim. Just make this like go for it. Deep purple room, and it's very luxurious. It kind of just encloses and embodies you in this rich, wealthy feel. But then the softer lavenders and lilacs are great for girls' rooms or for bathrooms or more feminine areas. A beautiful lavender or lilac is a bedroom color. It pulls in that blue to relax you. And then in that soft pink aspect that's in there, it pulls in gentleness and femininity.
Cool. And then, in dipping our toes into feng shui applications of violet and purple, there's a few. Violet, the violet fire is often associated with spiritual fire. And so anywhere you're going to have fire element, purple is another, it's in the spectrum of fire, just like red and orange are. You can also use the violets and the purples. It's great in the abundance and prosperity area of the home. And because violet and purple, sort of indicate, spiritual growth and awareness, it's often used in the wisdom and knowledge part of the home, which is the front left corner of the home, which is also water element. So, there's a lot of blue, purple, black, you're going to see when we get to black as well, that these three colors are very often used as a sub-in for water. Water, when you need to boost the water in an area, you can use one of those three colors. So it's often used in the wisdom and knowledge area of the home, which is the element that rules that is water. Of course, the career and life purpose area of the home is also water. It's typically the front door area, like we were talking about in the last episode. Purple can be used there. And then there's a lot of, this isn't feng shui per se, but there's a lot of visualizations that you can do with, that violet fire. Since I mentioned the spiritual violet fire, the violet flame is often associated with Saint Germain, very decidedly un-feng shui, but I just mentioned the spiritual fire, so I'm talking about it now. But, it's a great color to use in visualizations as well, that beautiful violet color, that violet fire. What's the chant? I am a flame of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. And you chant that over and over and over. I was at Burning Man one time, and I ended up in a kind of classroom situation, and the teacher didn't show up. And so somebody raised their hand and said, I know what we can do. And we did a violet fire meditation for like 20 minutes or something. And a whole dome full of people chanting, I am a flame of violet fire. I am the purity God desires.
Wow.
And we just chanted it over and over and over and over. And he had all these visualizations. Anyway, I'm going off track here. And in terms of the planetary astrology, purple, specifically a deep, deep, deep purple, is going to be associated with Saturn and Saturn. So really it's, again, the deep blues, the deep purples, and the black. I think I'm going to overtly put it in black when we get to black, but deep purple certainly fits the bill as well. So very often on Saturdays, you will see me, at least, wearing deep purples, blacks, deep blues, any of those deeper palette colors. That's kind of my one day of the week to bust out those colors.
Doing this color series has definitely made me realize I need to update my wardrobe.
Right? Well, wearing a colorful palette is like eating a colorful palette. It's like they're very healthy. It's a very healthy, life-affirming thing to do.
Are you eating the rainbow? Are you wearing the rainbow?
That's right. I mean,
it's funny because I went through this whole, I'm a professional, so I wear like white, gray, and black, and I've totally flip-flopped that now. Like, I'm like all about, I rarely wear white, gray, well, I'll wear white, but I rarely wear gray and black right now because I'm like, I want to put color on.
Me too. The only day I will really wear black is Saturday, sometimes on a Friday, but most of the time Saturday.
Yeah.
Is the only day I'll wear black.
But I'm seeing some holes in my wardrobe rainbow.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of violet and or purple and the embodied goddess, okay, I have 5.
I have 4.
Okay, I'll go first. The first one I have is Inanna.
Oh.
Okay, Sumerian goddess of love and war. I guess I chose violet and purple for her because I've got a deck that has Inanna, and there's a lot of purple in that card.
That was my scientific method. Works for me. I have Aphrodite, goddess of love, passion, and romance. She embodies the violet aspect. So think of those lighter lavenders and lilacs, that femininity.
Okay. So I have Isis, Egyptian goddess of magic and healing, associated with wisdom and sorcery. I don't really have a clear reason why I gave her, the violet and purple, I guess, except for the, the deep Egyptian ties and their, kind of usage of purple. Maybe that's why I put Isis in there. But do I have Isis? Okay.
And she's a sorceress, she's right. She's royalty,
right,
in that aspect.
Royalty, for sure.
Hestia, goddess of architecture. She is also known as the complete goddess, as in complete within herself. She's associated with lavender.
Cool. Okay, I've got Sheila Magig.
I'm sorry, who?
Sheila Magig, Irish hag goddess. She's considered a dark crone. And so I'm thinking of the deep shades of purple with her.
Okay. Hera, again, our goddess of committed love and marriage, master of the house. She is associated with the deeper purple of royalty.
Okay, makes sense. I've got Nukua, Chinese goddess of creation. She makes order out of chaos. She would be more on that lighter shade of lavender, very wise. I think that's why I put her with the
depth of space, and then also adding enlightenment to that.
The wisdom of enlightenment. Yeah.
I have Persephone, the innocent maiden, the goddess of spring, but yet also queen of the underworld.
Okay. And my final one is Lady Amethyst. Ooh. She is considered the feminine complement to Saint Germain, who is, of the violet fire. And so Lady Amethyst is sort of the feminine complement, the consort of the Saint Germain. So I chose Lady Amethyst for.
I have never even heard of her.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna have to deep dive into that one.
Yeah, I can share some stuff with you about Lady Amethyst. She's pretty badass. Okay, so anything else to say about violet and or purple?
Well, now that I know that I need to go, invest in some lavender and some deep purple, clothing, I would ask where does violet, where does lavender, where does lilac, where does that deep, rich purple show up for you? Do you use it in your home? Because it's a wonderful place for home offices. It's a wonderful place as an accent color if you want to give it a sense of luxury and wealth. It's a wonderful place to use in masculine areas. Where does purple show up for you? Are you wearing it? Are you living amongst it? Are you eating blackberries? Where in your food?
Right. Where is all that purple?
Where is that?
Yeah, great questions. One thing we have not been covering and we could arguably have had a whole section in each one of these is the different colored gemstones. I just mentioned amethyst, right? In feng shui, certainly crystals are used to a great extent. And we'll get to that, I guess, when we get to white. But, there are all kinds of applications with these colors that, show up in citrines and rubies and sapphires and emeralds and things like that. That's another way to get these colors into your wardrobe.
I don't know about you, but I have a whole spreadsheet on goddesses.
I do, actually.
And their colors and also their gemstones and their plants.
Yeah.
And their animals and their flowers.
Yep.
Yeah. Warners.
Well, and while we're talking about lavender, I'm just thinking of lavender. Sometimes the color is also the smell.
Right.
Right. All right. So anything else to say? I think we were landing the plane on.
The plane is landed.
All right. You're listening to the Living Mandala podcast.